Welcome back, everybody. Episode 39, Stats and Facts. I am your host, DREWSKI, the bald and bearded one. We are back. We are back in the building. Today we are going to dive right into this NFL season. We're not going to take any breaks. We're not going to cut any corners. Okay? That's what we came here to do, and that's what's going to happen. So what I'm going to do over the next 3 weeks here with these episodes on Stats and Facts, I'm going to bring these divisions. It's going to be pretty much a very much smaller episodes than y'all are used to. So these will be a little bit easier to digest. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with the NFC East. I'm going to go through these teams. I'm going to talk a little bit about them and give my forecast on how many wins I think they may have and if they're going to make the playoffs or not. Last season, the Cowboys won a division. It was very easy for them. I guess things just went their way. That's how I'm going to call it. Because just on paper, looking at it, 12-5, really struggling at home, 5-3 record at home, playing a little bit better away from Jerry's world. This team this year, I don't see the same success. They lost Amari Cooper. He came over to my Cleveland Browns. A little bit late with the air horn there. Came over to my Cleveland Browns. So now CeeDee Lamb is looked to now as the number one receiver there in Dallas. I don't know if that's going to culminate to them even making the playoffs, because we have another team that I'm going to talk about second that I think may be able to take that division away from them. As far as wins and losses, I think the Cowboys will end up probably about 9, maybe 10 wins. But I pretty much see them winning 9 games with that on that 17-game schedule that the NFL is trying for the second year. I'm not even going to say trying, that they are now using for the second year. So will that be enough? Will that be enough for them to? Let me turn myself down in the headphones. I was coming through a little bit hot there. There we go. That's a little bit better. Will that be enough for them to win a division? We shall see. With Mike McCarthy, pretty much just he needs a 16-1, 15-2 season, and they win the Super Bowl to cement his job. So moving on to the Eagles. The Eagles were very interesting to me last season. They were very interesting to me last season. Jalen Hurts, shout out to Jalen. All he does is win at every level. There's a lot of pressure playing in that area, pretty much anywhere in that tri-state area, but Philly especially. So I think that he did a good job. This could be pretty much his pretty much coming out party. This he could take that division, he could snatch it away from Dak, and the Eagles could cement themselves. At home last season, this is pretty interesting that a lot of teams in this division struggle at home. They were 3-5 at home. So that speaks to what I was saying before, with it just being a harder market to play in. It's a little bit more pressure on those players. So they were 6-3 away from Lincoln Financial Field, ending up with a 9-8 record. They brought in A.J. Brown. They still have a really, really stout defense, and they have a young man by the name of Jordan Davis, who from Georgia, who they drafted, I believe, 14th overall. He gets to line up next to Fletcher Cox. And if you haven't seen any video of this young man, just Google Jordan Davis in practice, and you will watch him move another young man who pretty much looked like he made a man look really small, basically. It was very easy to move him. So that's going to be pretty much the strength of their defense. I mean, or their team, would be their defense. As far as a win-loss for the Eagles. I think that they'll win the 10 and Dallas will win the 9. And I think 10 games will be enough to win the NFC East this season. The Washington Commanders, formerly the Washington football team. This will be their first year as the Commanders, debuting Carson Wentz at the helm. This can go either, and I know it's cliche, but it can go really good or really bad. This defense that I see in Washington, it's a better defense than he played in his MVP campaign before he got hurt in that game against the LA Rams. And that game was played at the Coliseum. That was a great game, but it's been all downhill for Carson since. The Commanders, like I said, they're built on defense. They got Chase Young, Montez Sweat. They got some good pieces there in the secondary. I don't really know if they have their running game shored up to where it's gonna where it can culminate into them or being a catalyst for them to make the playoffs. I don't see them as a playoff team. I see them as they were last year, on the higher end of 7 or 8 wins. So I'll put them at 8 and 9. The New York Football Giants. As a youngin', I really, really like the Giants. I'm from an era of the later years of Lawrence Taylor, Phil Simms, Tiki Barber, just some great Michael Strahan, just a lot of great New York Giants. This team needs a new quarterback. They didn't pick up the option on Daniel Jones for his 5th year. And there's a big reason why. He has fumbleitis. I don't know if it's contagious, but if you see him, you might want to, stay away. But they need a new quarterback. I believe that after this season, Dable will get rid of him, and they might find themselves in position for this draft class that's coming up that can have the mentions of C.J. Stroud and a few other quarterbacks coming out. But they say that it's going to be a quarterback heavy draft, but we also heard that about Baker's draft with Baker and Darnold and Josh Allen and I believe Lamar Jackson was in that draft. So, I can say right now that we have at least two solidified superstar quarterbacks from that 2018 class. And don't forget, Josh Rosen was in that. The Cardinals. Whew, boy, did they blow it. So getting back to the Giants. The Giants, they just need a quarterback. And they remind me of the Cleveland Browns of maybe about 10 years ago. But the Browns hadn't put themselves in a position to have a good enough coach to let the play on the field, show up in the win column. It was a lot of hard play, but they just could never win any games. Right now, as I see it, and this is without him haven't coached one game, but I think Brian Dable could be, the reason for that team. And with his eyes on Daniel Jones, I believe that he'll, end up with Tyrod Taylor maybe 4 or 5 games into the season, and we could see the Giants pretty much just like the Commanders, right where they were last year. I don't know what kind of really quarterback Brian Dable wants for that offense. I mean, if you really just want to go back to Buffalo and look at the stature of a Josh Allen or somebody else like that, he ran that offense perfectly, and we really got to see Josh Allen shine. We're gonna get into the AFC East, and I'm going to talk a lot about Brian Daboll. We're going to go back and revisit that because, like I said, he seems to be one of those coaches that he just would be the reason why. And when we get to a point in the season where Josh Allen is not performing how we all thought he would, because we're all prisoners of this moment of him in that game against the Chiefs, we could say, oh man, he doesn't have Brian Daboll anymore. That could really, really, really prove to be a crucial piece to the success of the Bills. I don't want to get sidetracked and start talking about that because, like I said, in future episodes, we will get into the AFC East and we will talk about the Bills at length. So, training camp's underway. Right now, most teams seem pretty healthy. There's a lot talking about Tyreek Hill in Miami. We've got Deshaun Watson with the 11-game suspension for the Cleveland Browns. That will put him back in action. First game, I believe that will be week 13 at Houston. So he gets to play in his first game as a Cleveland Brown against this old team. He'll just have to go through the visiting locker room this time. So we'll see how that goes. The Yankees, they're falling apart right before our eyes. I'm not really sure what the score is for today's game, but they're falling apart. They were the first team in Major League history to be 30 to have a winning percentage of 70% or more over the first 60 games and under 500 for the next 60. So they're falling apart before our eyes. So like I said, I was going to keep it short and sweet, y'all. I appreciate everybody tapping in with me. I am your host once again, DREWSKI, the bald and bearded one. It's been fun, but it's time for Andrea's son to run. And if you would, real quick, roll with me. Shout out to Jay Gatz. I got something here that I wanted to play right at the end, making me talk like Bill Cosby. Fuck it, I can't find it. I love y'all. Adios.